Hey fellow flowers, Violet here and welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be making this star lanyard. Now very briefly, if you already saw this video, thank you so much for your patience. I decided to re-upload this with some different colors to make the ending of this lanyard a little bit more clear. But without further ado, let's get into how to make this star. Now, one positive that did come from that now trashed video is that I can show you what we're going for. We are going to be making several points so that we can join these two ends together using the seamless circle technique. So we're going to be using a combination of the box stitch and the 90-degree stitch, all of which I have extra videos on if you'd like a little bit more help. But now that you've seen what we're going for, let's go ahead and start our box stitch. This time around, I'm going to be using white and this lime green color. Now go ahead and measure out about 90 inches or like 2.2 meters of each color. Once you have those two pieces of string cut, find all four ends and put them in your hands like so, and then find the midpoint. So I'm just going to use my finger to find the other side of it, which is this right here. This is the middle. So I can go ahead and let go of the four ends. Then we are going to turn one of them so that they are perpendicular to each other. Or in other words, we're going to make an X over our finger like so. And you'll notice that I have one strand on the bottom and one going across the top. So with the string on the bottom, which is my lime green, I'm going to make the two loops and then cross my side strings over and under to form the box stitch. So these are going over and under in opposite directions. And I'll pull that through, and now I can pull this all tightly like so. Now, before we go and start weaving, we're actually going to flip this thing upside down, so that way later on we can make this seamless. So I will turn it upside down, and now I'm going to weave in this direction. So I'm going to make my two loops for the box stitch. So 1 and 2, and then just weave my side strings over and under, pulling those all the way through. And our goal is to get to 6 stitches before we do our first turn. So let me go ahead and weave a couple more stitches and then we'll bounce back. So here is what that looks like after weaving 6 stitches. And I do have my little hammer charm here still to help me count. You can see that this is our upside down stitch, which we will be using later. And then from there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we are ready to do our first turn. Now you can decide which color you want to have on the outside of your star and which color you want to be kind of like the inside outline. So I would like for the green to be facing outward, which means that every time I do a turn, I'm going to be beginning with my white strings. So you'll want to hold the lanyard in the direction that you want to turn. As I mentioned, I want my white to be on the inside, so I will place the first white loop down just next to the body like so. And then I'm going to form a second loop underneath the leftmost string and then up and over. So kind of spin this around like so. And now you'll see that I have 2 loops on the side of the lanyard. And from here, I will weave my side strings over and under these 2 loops on the side of the lanyard. And this is what is going to give me that 90-degree turn. So I'll start with this leftmost string, which needs to go over this white strand here. So we'll go over and under that loop and pull this through. And then I will gather the other strand. This is my green strand that was on the right, and this will cross over and under in the opposite direction, and we will pull that through. And now I can pull this all tightly against the side of the lanyard. Nice. So you can see now that we have effectively changed directions and we've done a turn. So now I can resume doing my box stitches like usual in this direction. So resuming the 2 loops and then pulling those side strings over and under those loops, going in the opposite directions. Now I'm going to go for about 12 stitches here. So I'll go ahead and do that and then we'll come back and give it a count. Okay, so after 12 stitches, you can see that there is where I started it. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm ready to do another turn, but this time, instead of turning in like the same direction as the body here, we want to kind of make a zigzag, such as the one that I showed you at the start of the video. So we were coming this direction, then we went that way, and now we need to go this way. So remember, we need to hold the lanyard in the direction that we want to turn. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this so that I am looking at this side here. And we will start our first loop with the strand, which is in the direction we're trying to go. So that's why I made my first loop here with the white. And then I'm going to make another loop underneath the leftmost strand, coming underneath that side string, and then up and over the whole body. And you'll see now that I have 2 loops. And then I can weave my side strings over and under just as I did last time. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll start with this left string. We'll just go over and under like so. So I went over the left white underneath the right white. Then with this string, I'm going over the right and under the left. And I'll just straighten that out so I don't have any kinks or twists in my strands. And then pull this all together like so. And now we're going to go for another 12 stitches. And we're going to continue this pattern of 12 stitches, do a turn, 12 stitches, do a turn, until we have 5 points in total. After a couple of minutes, you should have something similar to this, where we have those 5 points. And if we were to warp the lanyard, we can see that we are starting to get a semblance of a star shape, and that is exactly what we want. What's left for us to do now is to do our last turn, and then to use the seamless circle technique to join these ends together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am ready to do my last turn. And remember, we are going to now turn the lanyard, face it in the direction that we want to be turning. So I want to turn in this direction. So I'll start with my first loop here. Bring this strand underneath the side and up and over. And now we can weave our side strings over and under these 2 loops, which are on the side of the body. So this one goes over and under that. And this, we will bring this over and under, going this direction. Now get the twists out, and then we can pull this all together. Then from here, the next move is to do 4 stitches, and then we can join these 2 ends. Now, off topic, if there are any other videos you'd like to see from me, or any tutorials or cool keychains you've seen that you would like me to recreate, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see about recreating it with Gimp or XOXO. Now I'm just going to wrap up my stitches here, and then I'm going to show you how we are going to join these 2 ends together. Now a quick look and a quick check. You can see that now I am in a position where I'm ready to join these 2 ends together. But very quickly, there are a couple of helpful tips that will help get this seamless trick down. First of all, I want to make sure that my working end is tight, so I just tighten it up a little bit. And then next, I'm going to actually trim each of the strings so that the end is a bit tapered and kind of pointed like so. And the more kind of pointed you can get it, the better. So you see how now it's got a point? I will do this for each of the strands. I like to just place it in the blade of the scissors at an angle, and of course, watch your fingers, be careful, have an adult help you if you need. But from here, this is what you should have for all 4 of your ends. Something that looks like a little bit of a sharper point, like so. The next step in preparing to join your 2 ends is we need to make sure that our base stitch and our working end are lined up. So put it in kind of the direction that you want this to be joined, and then look at each of the faces and see to it that they are matching up. And the best way to check is that your left string should be lined up with a pocket. So if I put these 2 together, you'll see that right now it's not lined up with the pocket on the left. If your lanyard looks like this, you'll need to either add or remove a stitch. because right now we don't have anything for this to be tucked under. So I'm going to actually remove a stitch here. I did 5. I told you guys 4 in the video, but I did 5 just to show you that you might run into that issue if your stitches aren't lined up properly. So now that I've pulled out a stitch, you'll see that now my strands do line up. So this left string goes in line with a pocket. And then that means that the rest of my strands should be good to go. And the last helpful tip I have for getting the seamless stitch down is to loosen up the little loops or those little pockets on the base. So I'm just going to use the butt of this little hammer to do that. You can use a safety pin, or if you have like a fork that's thin enough, just something to loosen it up a little bit. And we'll do that for all 4. And now I'm ready to join them. So again, we'll take a quick look. Everything is lined up. I have this white strand on the left aligned with a pocket. So I'm going to feed this underneath this little pocket right here. And we'll pull that through. Next, this topmost string needs to go into the top pocket. So I will fold this one through here. And then the side string, this right one, is going to go into the pocket across and on this side over here, right in there. And then the bottom one is actually going to go behind this white string. So if I move this out of the way, you'll see that his pocket is right here. So that one's going to go into that pocket. So now that we know where all of the strings are going, let's go ahead and do that. So I will tuck this underneath here, and it seems that the strings might have already settled, so I might have to loosen it a little bit. Get my hammer out, pull up a little bit on it, and then I will tuck this under here. If my hands can work for me today. Okay, here we go. So I pulled that through, and I'll just pull it directly down. And then for this one, we're going to go underneath that left pocket here, and then we're going to try to go in between, or like straight across, so underneath that green loop right here, so in between the green and the white. The idea is that you want to keep it going straight across, so that way when you pull this all tight, it gives you that seamless effect. So I'm going to go straight to the right, and then now I'm ready to do this last bottom strand. So I'll move the white and the green out of the way for just a moment, and I'll use my middle finger here to hold it. I'll grasp this bottom strand, and it needs to go underneath this bottom pocket. Get my hammer out again one more time, pull up a little bit, and be careful doing this so that you don't snap a string or anything. And then feed this through, and then we need this one to go straight across too, which means that it's going to need to go in between the white and the lime green. So I'll pull this in between those two so it can go straight across in his respective direction. And the last step is, since I moved this extra white strand out of the way, I need to make sure I pull this through the white and the green so that this white string here can go straight across. So I'm just going to pull this through, and then we should have a string now going in all 4 directions, just like if you were weaving a normal box stitch where you have a string going in like every direction. So I'm going to pull this all together now, and you'll see that the seam kind of disappears. And we'll tighten this up. And the last tip that I have for you is to allow your strings to rest for a little bit, just in case they want to back up on you or the tension gives out. So let the lanyard sit for like 10-15 minutes before you trim the strings, just so that it doesn't like fall apart, because I've had that happen before and it's like totally devastating. You're like, oh my gosh, I've been weaving for the last like hour and a half and this whole thing just fell apart. So don't make that mistake. Give it a second to rest before you trim it. And when you are ready to trim it, just give the strings a little bit of a pull and then cut. But there you have it. That's all there is to it. Thank you so much for watching and for keeping the nostalgia of lanyard making alive. Keep blooming, and I'll see you all in the next one.